All right, I'm going to do a little bit of CAD of a chassis. This is for students who want to get some CAD practice, starting with the chassis. Maybe you're a new student to the team, maybe you haven't done CAD, maybe you're trying to get better or faster at it. So I'm going to show you how I would CAD a chassis. So if you're going to do this, first of all, go into your Owned by Me section. You don't want to be clogging up the team CAD folders with your practice. So go ahead in there and click Create a Document, and I'm going to call this Practice Chassis. Okay. Now, if you're ever CADing with the team, you will likely be basing your CAD off of a 2D sketch. It's important that when we have multiple people going on multiple subsystems that everything fits together, and so we need some sort of uniting plan, and that is often a 2D sketch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drive in a 2D sketch into this workspace. Now this is a 2D sketch that maybe a mentor made, maybe a lead CAD student made, maybe you made it, but it's in another document. So we're going to derive. I'm going to go to Search Tools and type in derive, and you'll see here derived. It is also in one of the menus. I don't remember where. I just searched for it. Derived. I don't use it that much. Where are we deriving it from? Well, let's select the Part Studio. It's not one in this document. It's often going to be in another document. So somebody else made this file, or it's a file that a lot of people are using. It's not necessarily in your subsystems document. So I'll click Other Documents, and I'm going to go into Team 7457, the team drive. I'm going to go to 7457 Shared CAD, and I believe it's under Practice CAD. I've got one here just called CAD Practice 2D Sketch. So I'm going to click that. Ignore this, I forgot to do something. It'll come up here and you can see Part Studio number 1 in there, and within Part Studio there is a sketch called Chassis. I'm going to grab that sketch, I'm going to click it. You see it just appeared within my Part Studio, and I'm going to click the green check mark. So the first thing I have here is this nice little sketch. And you can see it looks like the profile of a chassis. So the nice thing about using a 2D sketch is that later if we say, oh, this robot needs to be smaller or this robot needs to be larger, we can change that sketch, and if we change that sketch, your chassis will go to match it, because we're going to build this off of it. All right, so let's see what we're going to do here. First thing I'm going to do is create a plane that is on the same level as the plane of my drive rail, which I can see this is my drive rail right here. So I need to create a plane that I can sketch onto at that height. I'm going to go ahead and click Plane, which is right, let me see if I can find it. Why is it not here? Replace face. I am blanking and not seeing it. This is so odd. Why is there not a plane? There it is, plane. Select plane, and I'm going to create a plane that is through a point. So plane point means I select a plane that I want it to be parallel to, and I select a point that I want it to go through. So the plane I'm going to select is this horizontal plane right here, the top plane. And the point I want it to go through is one of the points on this line here. So let me just select this one here at the end. And now I've got this plane right here. Cool. I've got this plane here called plane 1. I'm going to right click it, and I'll call this chassis plane. You don't have to rename everything, but it helps to name things. You can go back later and find them. All right, let's create a sketch in that plane. Sketch plane. Okay, so I'm sketching in this plane. The first thing I need is a rectangle centered in my sketch. So I'm going to use this very center point of the sketch as my center point here. Let's go ahead and grab my corner rectangle. Nope, not my corner rectangle. My center point rectangle. And from here in the center, I'm going to click it. I'm making this. You can see, oh, this is going to be my chassis. I need it to be even with the edge here. So you can see when I hover over this dot here and I can move out to the right, it's going to be exactly as long as the sketch says. Not here, right there. You can see it snapped to it. I'm going to click there. So now the length of this is already set. Let me click the top of the view cube so I can kind of view it from there. So you aren't going to be able to say how long your chassis is in this direction, because the sketch said how long it's going to be. If we change the sketch from 28 inches to 30 inches, this will adjust. But I do need to decide how wide it's going to be, so I'm going to do my dimension here and my width. I'm going to make this 28 inches wide. Okay. So this is going to be sort of that border I use to make my chassis rails. All right, let's make some chassis rails. So I'm going to grab my center point rectangle, It's going to go directly up from the center up to about here, and I'm going to make it just like that. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to do the same thing down here. Now down here, I'm going to make it even with the one on top. So if I go up here and I wake this point up just by hovering over it, now I come down and I'm locked in at the exact same spot. So that's good there. Then let's do this one. I'm even with the middle. And you can see it's locked in and lined up with the other side. That's good. Let's add some dimensions. First of all, know these are 2x1s, so these should all be 1 inches wide. I could label them all as 1, but I would much rather mark them all as equal because that's easier than having a bunch of labels that might need to be changed later. They're all the same width. I'm using my equal command, and I'm clicking this 1-inch side and this side and making them equal. Oh, I realize I have a mistake here. Let's unselect my equals. This needs to be touching the bottom, so I'm going to grab this corner. It is not moving. Don't know why that is. I'm going to take the easy way out here, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. I'm going to select it right here, press delete. Let's put another one in here, right down here. I must have accidentally locked it to one of these points. So you have to be careful when you click. Like here, that would lock that to the point. Just go right here. There we go. I select my equal command, and this will be equal to that. There we go. Okay. So you've made these 4 rails. Now, how long should these rails be? I'll say in this context, really the important thing is how far from the edge should they be. And this depends on the type of swerve modules you're using. Okay. I believe on the SDS MK4i it's 4 1/4 inches from the edge, but you would otherwise have to look this up for where the edge of this rail should be. Let me go ahead and put that in. The distance from this edge here, 4.25, and then the same here with this edge to here, 4.25, and lastly from this edge to here, 4.25. Cool. They should all be sort of locked in place. All right, that looks good. My chassis rails are in place. I'm going to click the check mark. That's done. Now I'm going to select those areas. And I'm going to extrude them. We're going to make this out of 2x1 aluminum, so I'm going to extrude it by 2 inches. My depth is 2 inches on that extrusion. There we are. Okay. Now at this point, if it's more convenient, you can hide the derived sketch, so it's not going to be in your way. But now you have it at that right height. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn these into box tube. I have a tool called Tube Converter, I believe. There it is, Tube Converter. That is a custom tool. If you don't have that tool and you want that tool, you need to go ahead and search for that custom tool and add it to your toolbox. I will try to make a video about adding custom tools and post it up, but you can go to the internet and try to find that out and try to find Tube Converter. But I'm going to select Tube Converter. The bodies convert. I'm going to click these tubes, all 4 of them. And then there's a lot of settings. So the wall thickness is important. So for a chassis, we almost always use 1/8 inch thick chassis rails. We want those to be pretty strong, so we thicken them up and use nice strong aluminum there. We always want a hole pattern, so I've got that. For the 2-inch side, I want 1 inches between the top and bottom hole, and I also check this box to also have a center row of holes. Just play around with these settings until you get what you want. The other important thing is that these holes are centered on the tube. Not only do they need to be centered, they need to be 1/4 inch from the edge. Okay, so right now I have them centered. I'm not sure if that's going to be right or not. It looks like that's 1/4 inch. These are 1/2 inch holes, so that the space in between is 1/4 inch. This looks like it's right. If not, sometimes you have to change this and no longer make it centered. Instead, you're going to auto offset it from the end. And you're going to see this can now be off a little bit. It's off now, it's a 1/2 inch in. And change your offset to 0.25, 1/4 inch. Once again, this really depends on the swerve module you're using for how far away they should be. But you need to make sure these holes are in the right spot. So play around with those settings until you get it right. I'm going to click the green check mark. There we go. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to derive in some swerve modules. Okay, so I've got the MK deriver over here on the right side. This is something you definitely want to install for FRC. It allows you to insert parts into your Part Studios very easily. I'll have another video on installing that. So let me click that check mark there. It'll open up my MK CAD deriver here. I'm going to type in MK4I. That is the type of swerve module we're using, and I'm going to go ahead and click it. There's a bunch of settings here that I can select. The L plate below, the drive motor. We've been using Krakens lately. I'm going to leave them flipped. 2-inch tube. That looks good. I'm going to click Insert. And that's going to load one onto the screen. Let's wait. It might take a moment. So there it is. So now I need to put this in the right spot. I'm going to transform and move this entity here. So I'm going to find the transform tool. I'm going to just search for transform. There it is. And I'm going to transform it. There's a lot of ways to move these. You can translate it by line, like, hey, just go in the X direction. Or you can translate it, you can rotate it. I'm going to use transform by mate connectors. That allows me to select 2 points and it'll move it from one to another. So for example, right here, I can say, hey, I'm going to use this hole right down here. I'm going to hover over. Let's see if I can get it. I'll have to click from mate connector. So right here. Oh, I have to select what to transform. Entity to transfer or copy. Let me click that. Select my MK4I module. From mate connector, so this one right here, to mate connector. I'm going to move that one. That's the third hole. These are 1-inch space. Let me look at the bottom here. So this is the first one. There's a 1-inch space. That's the second one. There's a 1-inch space. This is the third one. I'm going to click here. Now sometimes it's perfectly aligned. Sometimes you need to play around with the axes. So I'm going to flip the primary axis. It's going to flip it upside down. And then if I need to, I can rotate it around until it gets the right orientation. That looks good. Looks to be in the right spot. All my holes are aligned. Everything looking nice. Everything's in the right spot. I'm going to click. I could just click done. I'm going to click copy part. I'm doing this because that way I don't have to like rederive the module. I'm going to leave one right here. So I can do all 3 of these. I'm going to go ahead and do this next one. Let's go ahead and translate it. Transform. I'm going to select this one to transform. I'm going to transform it by mate connectors. I'm going to select, let's do the one on the inside. This will be the one at the end of the tube, right there. To mate connector, let's put it right here. It'll be on the end of the tube, right there. And I'm going to flip my primary axis and rotate it. Cool, that looks good. Copy the part so I have it available to do another time. Click the check mark. All right, I'm going to stop the video at this point because you can just repeat that 2 more times, and I need to keep this video short and sweet. So in the next video, I will put a belly pan on it.